Hey guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about explaining medical coding job listings. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. I have been a medical coder for over 10 years. I really love what I do, so I like sharing all of my experiences and the stories from the field on my channel. So I hope you'll take a second, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and if this video helps you by the end, I hope that you will share it. Okay, so let's get started. All right, so the job listings, right? What does it mean when they say certain things? And I hope I've done these videos a couple times before. I'm going to keep doing them because I think that it's important that there's so much to learn from these job listings, that a lot of information that people are wondering about the field and what should they know and what should they learn, it's like hidden in plain sight. So what I mean when I say this is you'll see throughout these 5 listings that I'm going to be talking about today. And I found these on Indeed. Now, this is not an ad for Indeed. I'm just saying that I went to Indeed and I found these. I'm not going to tell you where these actually are because these videos, of course, as you know, live on in perpetuity. And I mean, it just doesn't make sense to advertise for a company. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm going to talk about the listings. I'm going to explain and break down what I mean by some of this verbiage in here. As many of you know, if you're new to my channel, if you don't know, I wanted to be an attorney before I became a medical coder. Okay, so my whole life as a little kid, I was training myself and thinking about how I wanted to be an attorney. I learned how to break things down by reading and really understanding the verbiage that people use. Because when you are dealing with anything legal, it's all about the language, right? So it helped me. It gained me some skills before I became a medical coder. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and dive on into these. And I will leave the link for my email address, for my Instagram, for my Patreon channel down in the description box below. So you have plenty of ways to get a hold of me if you have any other questions. Patreon I have because I do additional coding exercises, although not official. This is just more of me breaking down in detail things about medical coding. All right, so now, the first listing I'm going to talk about, it's titled under Medical Coder. Now, these were found in Texas. The last one I did was all in Arizona. And then I think the one before it was in California. So I'm just going to talk about, these were in Texas. These are in various places in Texas. I just put in Texas and it, brought these up. So these are all located in Texas. If you want to look for your area, that's fine. But we're just talking about this today. All right. Number 1. Medical coder. The principal responsibilities include the auditing of documentation to ensure it supports clean claim submission within a timely fashion, expertise in reviewing and assigning accurate medical codes for diagnosis, procedures, and services performed by physicians and other qualified healthcare professionals in the office or facility setting. This could be ambulatory surgery center, it says. Okay. Accurately audits, encounters, and billing for correct ICD-10 and CPT codes. This will occur after physician provides coding. So what this means is sometimes providers will pre-select the diagnosis and pre-select the procedures that they did. Okay. So basically the coder is just going through and auditing to make sure that everything is correct. I will tell you guys this. Do not, never, ever, ever, ever go by what the provider pre-selects, okay? They are not trained medical coders. They don't understand a lot of times, and I'm just saying a lot of times because there are some that do know, okay? But there's a lot of times that providers really don't kind of understand what they're selecting, so they just sort of select, what seems best. Do not trust the codes that are pre-selected. Always go through and double check and verify that that those codes are actually correct, because I have seen providers who select procedures thinking that it's one thing, but it's actually, when you open the book, like the Coder Desk Reference for Procedures, is actually something different. And so the provider needs to be educated on those types of things. It takes a very good, high caliber medical coder, and I always talk about high caliber medical coders all the time on my channel, because I hope that the things that I share will help you to become a high caliber medical coder. Now, a high caliber medical coder will be able to look at this, go to the provider, build a relationship with them, and educate them on selecting the correct procedure codes, okay? So always make sure, don't trust the codes that are there. Oh, it's there, and you know, I may not have a lot of experience, so I'm just gonna go ahead to let it go through. No, make sure that the diagnosis is selected to the highest specificity, and the procedure is coded to the highest specificity, all right? So that's it on that. That's okay. Continuing on. Proficiency across wide range of services, including evaluation and management, anesthesia, surgery, radiology, pathology, and medicine. A sound knowledge of medical coding guidelines and regulations includes compliance and reimbursement handling issues such as medical necessity, claims denials, bundling issues, and charge capture. So sometimes what they mean by like bundling issues, I'm going to talk about NCCI edits in the coming week, okay? There's going to be a whole episode about it. It's the National Correct Coding Initiative, and I'm going to go into more detail on that episode. But as far as like bundling, sometimes certain procedures are going to include other procedures. And so you're going to get what's called bundling edits. It's going to tell you that this procedure is also included in this procedure. So this is where you have to really pay attention to what's going on in the documentation. Look at the procedure, the description of the procedure, to make sure that everything else is included in that. And if the provider performs something else, then you can report the additional procedures. But just know that sometimes you're going to have that where it's going to say this is already included in this procedure. You can't put them two together. So something to be aware of, okay? And then it goes on to say, ensures that the code assignment meets medical necessity requirements by Medicare and other carriers, understanding how to integrate medical coding and payment policy changes into a practice's reimbursement processes, knowledge of anatomy, physiology, and medical terminology necessary to correctly code provider diagnosis and services. This is why I tell you guys, the basis of a good foundation for a good medical coder is to know the medical terminology, anatomy, and physiology. This is very, very important, okay? I cannot stress this enough to you guys, because when you know and understand the body and the medical terminology, the documentation is going to make a lot more sense. Okay. Report any discrepancies or problems to the manager or compliance department. Work all scripts holding buckets related to billing. All scripts is a type of EHR. It's an electronic health record system. Okay, so not every place is going to have the same electronic health record system. There are some places that use different software. So a lot of times you will get training. Sometimes you won't. It just depends. But a lot of times you will, because not everybody uses the same electronic health record. Okay. And then perform other duties as assigned. Education, a high school diploma or a GED. CPC or CPCA required. There's the language right there, required. Now, what does required mean? It means you absolutely have to have this. I will say this though. If you are a brand new coder with no experience before, continue to apply for places even if it says that experience is required, okay? Now, they just said that CPC and CPCA are required, okay? You can see if you have an AHIMA credential, you can see if you're a AHIMA credential that will be acceptable, but it's basically, this listing is saying that you have to be certified, okay? The only time that you will sort of overlook the requiredness is when they're asking for experience. Still apply anyway, even if you do have no experience. And I'm going to get into that on Monday's episode, which is going to be how to get your first job as a medical coder. Okay, so be ready for that episode. All right, and then the next one, it says experience 1+ years of experience is required. Again, still apply anyway, because if your resume looks really good and they haven't had enough qualified candidates in that area, you may get looked at. I'm just saying, okay? So never ever give up. Okay, we were all brand new at one time. This is a horrible thing that happens with us brand new medical coders, is that everybody says they want experience, but you have to be persistent and you have to keep going. Anytime that you get told no, that you can't apply here, I mean, you can't get hired here, you just have to keep going until you find somebody that will let you in, because eventually, if you stick with it, somebody will let you in. Okay. Next thing is ability to work in a revenue cycle system. Experience. Oh, I already said that. Okay, licenses, CPC or CPCA required. Work authorization, United States. Work location 1. Benefits, health insurance, dental, vision, retirement plan, and paid time off. Schedule is Monday through Friday. Okay. A lot of people ask me, what are the benefits? It's going to vary from place to place. Some places offer you only health, but no dental. But I mean, it just depends wherever you're applying. That's why you have to ask. Okay. Now the next listing is for a certified professional coding specialist. That is the name of it in the title. It says responsible for gathering inpatient and outpatient professional procedure charge information, coding, entering into practice management system in order to complete the claims billing process. Coding specialist is responsible for accurately assigning ICD-10 diagnosis and current procedural terminology codes, that's the procedure codes, for provider-generated documentation. In addition to practice management system, the specialist will be expected to utilize the organized abstracting software, which is like 3M. That's the encoder software. That's just an example. There can be others. 3M is the most popular. It is just basically an encoder to keep you from having to use the book. You can just type in a few keywords and then the code will pop up. But you have to be careful about how you enter those words in, because sometimes if you enter them in incorrectly, it will lead you down the wrong path. So I do have a video out on the on the encoder, so be sure to tune in for that one. So, moving right along. Required education, coding classes, anatomy and physiology class, again, another one, and medical terminology class. Preferred education, ongoing coding and audit educational classes, CEUs. Required technical skills, Microsoft Office and computer keyboarding. Required licensure, I always get that word. Registration/certification is CPC, CCSP, CPMA through AAPC and or CCSP, CCS, RHIT or RHIA through AHIMA within 2 years of your hire date. I'm going to say that again. CPC, CCSP, CPMA through AAPC or CCSP and or CCSP, CCS, RHIT or RHIA through AHIMA within 2 years of hire date. This means that if you are currently in school, this is what I'm understanding this to say, okay? If you are currently in school or if you're studying for your certification exam, you have to have your certification or you have to have one of these degree certifications within 2 years of being hired. So if you are still studying and you are about through with your program and you're going to take your exam in a few weeks or whatever the case may be, you can still apply because it's saying that you have to have it within 2 years of your hire date. Okay, so preferred license, CPC, CCSP, RHIA or RHIT or CPMA. Okay, required experience, 1 to 3 years experience using outpatient facility EMR, electronic medical record, and practice management systems, specifically in the role of billing and or coding. Preferred experience, 3 years or more of extensive physician practice coding. Again, preferred. Preferred does not mean required, okay? I'm just saying. Little hint there, okay? And the next one is Outpatient Coder. Converts diagnosis and treatment procedures into codes using International Classification of Diseases, ICD-10. sequences, diagnosis, and procedures for optimal reimbursement. I will also be having a episode this coming week about sequencing. So I hope that you'll tune in this week. I have posted the schedule in the community tab, so be sure to check there. It's also on my Instagram at MEDICALCODINGWITHBLEU. And then ensures that outpatient records are coded in an accurate and timely manner. Qualifications. High school diploma or a GED is required. That means you have to have it. Previous clinical experience in outpatient coding or related position required. Certified coding associate. Certified coding professional coder, certified professional coder, registered health information technologist, registered health information administrator, or certified coding specialist physician-based certification preferred. So all of those, the CCA, the CPC, the RHIT, RHIA, or CCSP are all preferred. Additional education hours and certifications related to position preferred must be able to communicate effectively in English, but verbally and in writing. Additional languages is preferred. This is something that I talk about a lot on my channel. You have to be able to speak clearly, and you have to be able to write clearly. If providers do not understand you, if English is not your first language and you still struggle, it's okay. You need to make sure that you're continuing to learn how to correctly express yourself and express yourself in English so that people can fully understand you. Because a lot of times providers get very frustrated when they can't understand the person, when they're speaking or even when they're writing. You have to be able to put a cohesive sentence together. You have to be able to put a professional email together. You have to be able to write clearly as well as speak clearly. So this is something that is very, very important. And I'm not saying this stuff to make it up. I mean, these listings I just picked on random, and this is the stuff that they say. So I want you guys to know that this stuff that I'm telling you, it's not because I want to make it harder for any of you guys. I'm telling you this because it's the truth, and this is what you should know and be aware of. Okay. And then basic computer knowledge is required. So there's that. And then we have the certified medical coder. Specific responsibilities of the job is apply appropriate coding classification standards and guidelines to medical record documentation for accurate coding, resolve medical record documentation deficiencies with the healthcare provider, query and provide routine feedback to healthcare providers to correct deficiencies. This is basically telling you to build relationships with your providers. Perform quality assessment of records, including verification of medical record documentation. Responsible for researching errors or missing documentation from medical records in order to provide accurate coding processes. This is again telling you that CDI or clinical documentation is very important. And it doesn't matter if you do not hold this certification, because HIMA does have a specific credential for it. Even if you don't have it, it's very important as medical coders that we still practice it anyway, that we still working through this with our providers, okay? Clinical documentation improvement. Making the documentation better, okay? And more fuller of detailed information, okay? Abstract and assign appropriate ICD-10, HCPCS, and CPT codes, including level 1 and level 2 modifiers, as appropriate for all diagnosis and procedures performed in the outpatient and inpatient settings. Ability to handle a workload or daily productivity and maintain a 95% accuracy, review clinical documentation and diagnostic results as appropriate to capture accurate coding. And this means like looking at the pathology reports, okay? To make sure there's a confirmed diagnosis, okay? Responsible for providing coding support to the billing team, because remember, medical coding and medical billing is two different things, okay? Prepare reports of findings and share with the managers and assist the managers in providing feedback and remediation to reviewers. Performs all other related duties as assigned. Skill set, a minimum of 2 years experience in an outpatient family facility, current certification in either one of these, such as the CCA, CPC, RHIT, CCS, or CCSP, knowledge of CPT, HCPCS, and ICD-10, including level 1 and level 2, a HEMA or AAPC membership. Now, I'm going to stop this right here. A HEMA or AAPC membership. Now, this is telling you that you need to be an active member. Now, why do they have you be an active member? Why is that important? Because if you're an active member of the association, this guarantees that you're going to get the journals, you're going to have access to go to their coder meetings, you're going to have access to a lot of this up-to-date information versus somebody who's not an active member who does not have access to all like the latest things right away like members do, okay? Knowledge of LCD, NCD, and NCCI edits. NCCI edits, we're going to be discussing this coming week. Extensive knowledge of different payer guidelines, Medicare, HMO, PPO, and Medicare Advantage plans. Now, this is another thing I'm going to stop right here real quick. It's telling you that they want you to have knowledge of Medicare, HMO, PPO, and Medicare Advantage plans. This is another thing that I'm telling you guys, this is in plain sight, that this is stuff that you need to know. It never hurts you to go to cms.gov, which is the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. This is going to be all about their practices and all about the things, and all this information is solely on this page. Do your research, guys. Look on these web pages that they're asking you to know all of this information. And that way you can familiarize yourself. Because even if you haven't worked with it before, it doesn't mean that you can't go above and beyond and try to learn this stuff. It's only going to benefit you in the future. It's going to benefit you when you start working for a facility, because at least you're going to know and have an understanding. I'm just saying. Must have excellent computer skills and experience with a variety of EMR systems. Once you know one electronic medical record system, it's easier to pick up a lot more of them. I'm just saying. Knowledge of anatomy, physiology, disease process, and medical terminology. Knowledge of medical practice revenue processes, ability to interpret data contained in records and assign appropriate codes, ability to work independently with a high degree of attention to detail and reliable decision-making, high school diploma or a GED, possibly work remotely or partially in the office, local applicants only, okay? Schedule is Monday through Friday, experience 1 outpatient family practice coding experience, 2 years are required. License, medical coding required. It doesn't say specifically which one, so it just says it's required. Application question, what is your desired salary? So a lot of people still ask me this question, even though I've told y'all 100 times that I'm not going to answer these salary questions on here, because it varies from place to place. If you want to know, go to the Department of Labor or to the Bureau of Statistics, type in your zip code, type in your area, your state, or whatever, and it will tell you what the average starting salary is for a medical coder, and that's how you know how much to ask for. Benefits is health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, paid time off, and work from home, okay? But that's only for local people in that area, okay? And then finally, I got 23 minutes, okay. Outpatient senior remote coder, right? Job responsibility is assigning diagnostic and procedural codes for outpatient surgery, observation, infusion services, and interventional procedure records to patient charts of moderate or high complexity, to using ICD-10, CPT, and HCPCS, and any other designated coding classification system in accordance with coding rules and regulations, abides by the standards of ethical coding as set forth by AHIMA. If you don't know what this is, go to ahima.org and you type in standards of ethical coding and it will pop up. I will leave a link for that down in the, probably in the description box. If not, I will be leaving it in the community tab, okay? But it's very important that you guys know. And everybody, regardless of your credential, regardless of whether you are credentialed or not, if you are working in a position as a medical coder, you have to know the standards of ethical coding, okay? I'm just saying. Abstracting required clinical information from the medical record. Coding quality demonstrates ability to achieve accuracy and consistency in the selection of principal and secondary diagnosis, including MCC and CC and procedures. Demonstrates ability to achieve accuracy and consistency in abstracting elements defined per facility. Goal: the average coding quality standard of 95% per accuracy per monitoring period. So this means that even if you don't make that in 95% in one particular month, whatever your rating period is, it's telling you that that is what they need you to hit, that 95%, okay? That is the average in that rating period. Professional, okay, coding labor productivity meets and exceeds coding productivity guidelines. Professional development stays current with AHA, AHA, official coding and reporting guidelines, CMS and other agencies' directives for ICD-10 and CPT coding. Attends mandatory coding seminars on an annual basis, IPPS and OPPS. ICD-10 and CPT updates for inpatient and outpatient coding. Quarterly review of the AHA Coding Clinic. Attends quarterly coding updates and all coding conference calls. Communicates and resolves coding issues, lack of documentation, physician queries, etc. for appropriate follow-up and resolution. And then it just goes on to basically say the same thing. Proficient at outpatient coding guidelines, proficient in CPT and HCPCS, code assignment for evaluation and management for facility coding, and then ability to assign PCS codes, that's the inpatient side. Working knowledge of outpatient prospective payment services. Again, another thing in plain hidden sight, the thing that you need to know, okay? Adept at comparing documentation and code assignment and charge in the financial system for accuracy and completeness in evaluating concerns to the appropriate manager. So, education and experience: 1 year of experience performing medical record coding in acute care setting preferred, not required. High school graduate or equivalent is required. Completion of coding basic courses, including medical terminology, basic anatomy and physiology, and equivalent combination of education and experience also required. Required a HEMA or AAPC approved credentials. So now that is all. I'm going to wrap it up because this is going to cut me off in just a second if I don't finish it up. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that this makes a little bit more sense now when you're looking at these job listings. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope that you will share this. And if you are a medical coder, a medical coding student, somebody curious about the fascinating world of medical coding, a provider or a nurse, I invite you to like and subscribe and follow me on my journey in medical coding. I will see y'all next time. Bye!